Well, the rising sea levels impacted our community when we have the confluence of high tides, the king tides, and winter storms. And the last time it happened was in December 2010, and our seawalls were overtopped substantially, not only by the sea level rise, but also by the wind and the storm-generated waves coming across the harbor. And it immediately brought to our city council's attention that we needed to accelerate our sea level rise policy and the planning that we'd already been doing for about 5 years. So it was an impetus that we really needed to get moving on it because we came perilously close to having severe flooding problems in our city that we hadn't experienced before. Well, our seawalls are old, number one. We've got 18 miles of seawalls in the harbor. 2 miles are city-owned seawalls. So we're starting on the city-owned seawalls, and we are coming up with what we call a common sense plan to incrementally raise these seawalls to deal with the tide as it changes. And then also the new seawalls that we build will be built purposely to very easily be added on incrementally so that we can monitor and adjust to sea level rise as it may or may not occur. Well, it's a very expensive proposition. The 2 miles around Balboa Island that I'm talking about is about a $66 million project, very expensive. And so that's why we're taking it very slowly, incrementally, but eventually that's the amount of money we're going to have to spend. And the question is, where does the money come from? We're a small city, 88,000 people, and how do you raise $60 million to deal with geographically a very small problem, although not a big problem overall, but geographically it's only a small area of the city. Primarily in the winter, and like California's been dry for the last 5 years, so we haven't had one. El Nino's coming this year, we're expecting it. We're making all kinds of preparations, sandbags, pumps. We bought an extra, I think, 100 pumps this year because not only do we have to keep the sea out, but if it's raining while the sea's coming up, we got to pump the water out. So it's kind of, the water's hitting us from two directions, and we have to protect the community. So it's pretty challenging. Right. The wall keeps the water out, but it's like a bathtub. The bathtub keeps filling up from the rainwater, and you got to get the water out over the wall. Well, I think it's very important. I think we really need to take a long-range view of it. We have a short-term and a long-term program that we're dealing with, but we can't solve it in our city on a lot-by-lot basis. For example, we can't just fix our 2 miles of seawall without dealing the other mileage, about 16 miles of private seawall. So we have to have building codes in place, all of the other things that we need so that it's a coordinated effort. Can't be done on a lot-by-lot basis. And beyond that, it can't be done on a city-by-city basis for the long term. For the long term, cities that have a geographic or a regional link, if you will, need to get together to come up with an overall policy and a plan. They are aware of it, and the challenge is that a lot of the old-timers, if you will, they don't believe that the sea level's rising, and even though we have empirical evidence with our tide gauges, but they say, well, it's just the same as it was back in the 40s and the 50s, and we don't see any difference. Well, there is a difference, and so that's the hardest part. The younger generation, it's easier to communicate and and educate them on what's going on.